Hey, what's up, shitheads? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have an extra special episode for you because today I'm going to be doing a 1,000 mile update on Bruiser here, my 2023 wired cruiser. I bought this bike back in August and it was delivered to me on September 1st. So in the last few months, I've done quite a bit of riding. I did an initial review on this bike. Now that I'm a seasoned wired cruiser veteran, I'm going to be telling you some of the things I love about this bike and some of the things I don't like so much. You know, guys, Christmas is right around the corner. I just had this package dropped off to me today, and it's from Santa Claus. As of now, I have absolutely no idea what could be inside there. Guys, put in the comment section, what do you think's in this giant present here? I'm thinking it could be, I don't know, maybe some socks. Oh, I did ask for a new pair of riding gloves, but you know, your guess is as good as mine. I'm not going to be standing here boring you, pointing at this bike and explaining what I like and don't like. I'm going to be taking you along with me, and that's where I will demonstrate the things that I like and don't like about this bike. But guys, I'm telling you what, you are absolutely not going to want to miss this one. Let's go ahead and get outside, and I'll catch up with you there. Come on, let's go. We're out on Bruiser, and I can go ahead and tell you some of the things I love about this bike. And coming in at number one, which would be a surprise to absolutely nobody if the reason you're even watching a wired cruiser video is that this bike has great power. Probably aware by now, this is a 60 volt system, 40 amp controller, can put out a max of about 2,400 watts. This bike has a 60 volt 20 amp hour battery, which is a 1,200 watt hour battery. Honestly, to me, this bike fills a nice niche where it's, you know, it's not going to be as fast as a Sur-Ron, but it's going to be faster than pretty much all the other 48 volt, 52 volt systems you see out there. And honestly, this bike is fast enough. And I'm going to go ahead and say something controversial here. This bike can go 40 miles an hour. I'm sure you're all aware of that. Let me jump this first. I'm going to be honest with you guys. You don't need to go 40 miles an hour. And honestly, I think it's nice that this bike can go 40 miles an hour, but I think 25 miles an hour is like an ideal cruising speed. Let me tell you why. Once you start going too fast, it's easy to start making more mistakes. If you're riding this thing like a bicycle, but you're going 35, 40 miles an hour, you're going to get yourself in some messed up situations pretty quick. And believe me, I know, because when I first got this bike, I was just zipping all around, not realizing how fast I'm going. So in my opinion, it's nice that this bike can go 40 miles an hour, but 25 miles an hour seems to be like a sweet spot for these bikes where you're probably not going to get yourself in too much trouble. It's easier to ride it like a bicycle and not like a motorcycle or a car. Yeah, number one, a no-brainer, the power. This bike has a lot of power. It's great for commuting. I bought this bike in August. It was delivered on September 1st, and since then I've put 1,016 miles as we speak. And I go to the gym 4 times a week typically, and up until last week I had a streak where I have not driven my truck to the gym at all. So this bike has perfectly done what I wanted it to. My gym is a 6-mile one-way trip, 12 miles round trip, and in my opinion, this bike can perfectly do short commutes. Another unintended benefit of this bike has been, I noticed last week I didn't ride the bike to the gym because it was raining, and when I got to the gym, I was working out legs that day, and I noticed, man, my joints weren't feeling it very well. And that's because when I ride this bike to the gym, by the time I start my workout, I'm warmed up. So riding this bike to the gym works as serves as a warm-up for my workout. And you know, this probably doesn't apply to everyone, there's a Walmart right by my gym, and one of my favorite things to do was after the gym I would drive over to Walmart and just peruse around. And since I've gotten this bike, I don't do that anymore. So I don't know how much money exactly I've saved from avoiding going to Walmart after the gym every day, but it has to be a significant amount. So that's another unintended consequence. So I've saved a ton of money on gas. I've saved a ton of money by not going unnecessary trips to Walmart, and it warms me up and serves as my cardio for the gym. So yeah, this bike is a perfect commuter bike for short to mid-range commutes. I'd say anything, you know, 20 miles or less, this bike's going to do really well for a commuting purpose. Another thing I really like about this bike and it may seem kind of silly, but I absolutely love the BMX bars, because it puts you in a real ergonomic riding position. So the old style mountain bikes are cross-country bikes. You're more in a road bike sitting position where you're hunched over the bars and you're in a more like forward riding position. This is a really comfortable bike to ride, and yeah, I really love the BMX bike, the BMX bars. I like the way they look. That may be a silly one, but I really like the BMX bars. Another thing I really like about this bike is the way Wired does their pedal assist setup. Typically on these cadence sensors, the pedal assist setup will be as such. So pedal assist 1, for instance, will give you assistance when you pedal up to a set mile per hour, like 6, and then pedal assist 2 will give up to 10, and pedal assist 3 will go up. So what happens with those style bikes usually is when you're riding, you'll start pedaling, and then you'll, even with the slightest input on the pedals, it'll just propel you to whatever the set mile per hour is. If you're just barely pedaling around, it will propel you up to 15 miles an hour. So I find that when you ride those styles of bikes, it's like you're just moving the pedals around and you're not really getting much of a workout. Where with this one, each pedal assist setting has a predetermined wattage or assistance that it gives you. So pedal assist 1 gives you like 350 watts, pedal assist 2 gives you 450 or 500, pedal assist 3 gives you 750. And the way that works is, so when I'm pedaling along, I'm typically in pedal assist 3. I can go as fast as I want as long as I want to pedal harder. So I typically, like, pedal assist 3 to me is kind of you end up being comfortably cruising around like 25 miles an hour, which, like I said earlier, is like ideal cruising speed for a bike without getting yourself into too much trouble. I like the way the pedal assist is here, and I've noticed when I ride to the gym, I like to kind of like ride fast and have fun, and I will end up getting myself kind of a workout, or at least burn some calories. You know, it should be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but to each their own. You know, if you want to use this bike with just throttle on, that's up to you. But yeah, I really like the way they do their pedal assist settings on these bikes. That being said, this is not a torque sensor. It's smooth for a cadence sensor, but if you're on pedal assist 4 or 5 and you are pedaling at low speed, it will kind of jerk you around, and it's really hard to navigate in areas like such where I'm riding now. So you wouldn't want to be riding at slow speeds in an area like this, because as soon as you start pedaling, it's going to just gram in the power and jerk you around. So yeah, actually guys, I kind of need to concentrate because this is wet here and you're not supposed to be riding bikes. And as you can see, if I make a mistake here, I'm going into thorn. Ooh, gosh, it got me guys. We're almost through the danger zone here. Oh god. I really like the way the pedal assist is set up on these bikes, almost to the point I'm sure at some point the next logical evolution is they're going to put torque sensors on these bikes, but for now this is the smoothest pedal assist setting I've seen with a cadence sensor. Sorry, I lost my train of thought going through the danger zone. That was this bike also is a really good build quality. I was very skeptical about buying this style of bike. I come from a mountain bike background. I have a turbo Levo. I have a few thousand miles on. So I was skeptical getting this bike, but I have had no problems with this bike that I haven't been self-inflicted, at least. The wheels are really solid. The motor has the reinforced gears. Yeah, this bike has been trouble-free. It's been reliable. I ride this bike to the gym. If I go to the gym 4 days a week, I ride it 48 miles a week or so, and I've had no issues at all. It's been 100% reliable. The only things I've had to do this bike are routine maintenance. I've had to lube the chain a couple times because if you ride through dusty areas, it'll start squealing on you. But other than that, this bike has been 100% solid. One of the things I did notice on my eventual review is a lot of people like to swap their seats out right away. And honestly, I think this wired seat, it's fine. It's not going to win any awards for comfort. I've gotten used to it, and it's to the point now where I don't feel the need to replace the seat at all. Everything's nice and solid. We have an Aventon bike, and a couple of the spokes broke on that thing. The spokes on this thing are really solid. I haven't had any issues with the spokes. So I'm going to start telling you some of the things I don't care for as much on this bike. Well, you can see all the scratches on the frame right there. I started noticing that after I did my range test where I rode 52 miles on a dirt track, and I believe that has a little like rocks in the dirt or something, but I noticed, look how much the frame got scratched right there. So I don't think the paint is the absolute highest quality, but if you notice, the paint on the wheels looks completely fine. I don't notice any problem with the paint finish on the wheels. It's just the paint on the frame itself. This front light here, it's just the mounting system on it. As of right now, I think I have this thing torqued down to about 500 foot-pounds because it just would not stop moving around. I think this is an off-the-shelf light, so it's not really, you know, designed to be mounted to this specific fork. So it just doesn't really stay on there very well. I have it super tight right now, but almost every time I went to use the light, I would notice that it's pointing a different direction because that thing just wiggles loose and it moves all around. The light works fine, but it's just the mounting system. This front fork works. I mean, it's not going to win you any downhill races, but see if this can pick that up on camera here. I'm holding the front brake, and if I rock it back and forth, you can see that the bottom part of the shock is moving where the top isn't. So there's like a lot of slop in this fork. It's just not very reassuring. If you're just gonna be riding around on asphalt and not driving around like a maniac like I tend to do, this fork's fine. You know, you want to adjust the preload here. You don't want to have this thing too soft because it'll bottom out really fast. And if you've noticed here, I've clearly bottomed mine out. The new ones come with a different brand of fork, so I can't compare it to what the new ones come with. But yeah, whoever made this fork, I don't think they're too proud of it either because there's not even a brand name on it. Steep head tube angle like this, as you see here, which means the fork is more straight up and down. It's going to give you faster steering response, but it comes with a couple side effects, and I will demonstrate that as we ride. But a downhill bike or a lot of mountain bikes come with a slacker head tube angle, which means the fork's going to come out more at a slack angle like that, as opposed to coming down straight like this. And that means you're going to get slower steering response, but the bike's going to resist turning. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you right now. It's not necessarily an issue. I don't feel like it's going to cause me to wreck or anything, but let me show you what that actually translates to while you're riding. As you're going faster, you'll notice if you move the steering wheel, look how fast the bike is to wobble around. So I think they'd be nice if they slackened out that head tube unit a little bit. If they slackened out the head tube so that wouldn't really be as much of an issue. On my first review, I pointed out that I didn't like this shifter. And I still don't really care for it. My main issue with this shifter is it's just ugly. I mean, look at it. It's so big and it's got this clunky dial on it. But it does have some benefits. It's kind of grown on me. One of the nicest thing is I'm in a high gear right now and you can downshift super fast as long as you're pedaling. Upshifting is still done with a single click. So I just told you about the shifter. The shifter is okay. I don't love the shifter, but I'm not in a hurry to go change it. But one thing I do notice is this rear derailleur here. I am not a fan of this rear derailleur. And the problem is it works fine, but the thing is the slightest hit to this will bend it. So this is not made out of the best material, and the derailleur needs to be perfectly aligned with each one of these gears to make it shift correctly. So I've noticed times where I get on the bike and I start pedaling and the bike will go in between gears, and it's because something either hit this or it's become out of alignment. So you have to adjust it using this barrel connector here, and it can be a pain to get these things perfectly aligned. I'm not going to lie to you. This derailleur here is just not made out of like very good material. I had the derailleur protector on here up until very recently. I took it off just because honestly it was getting on my nerves. It was hard to get this rack on and off. And since we're going to talk about the rack right now, I like the rack, but I found myself never using it. So I took off the rack because honestly I'm a minimalist. I used to have a cell phone mount on the handlebars, and I was like, you know what, I just took it all off. I didn't care for it. I like having the bike with the minimum amount of setup. I don't like stuff rattling all around on the handlebars. So I took off the rack, and one thing I really don't like is this taillight mounts to the rack. So if you take off the rack, there's no provision to mount this taillight anywhere. So I mean, I did a total hack job and just zip tied it over here. I think that's kind of annoying because you have to consider, not every single person's going to use the rack or want the rack. So yeah, it's kind of dumb. And if you want to take this off, look how long the cable is. and you have to hunt all the way down to where this connects in and then disconnect it. So yeah, that's kind of annoying to me, that if you take off the rack, you just have to deal with this dangling taillight situation. To be honest with you, I'm nitpicking a lot of these things. None of these things are deal breakers, but I'm just being honest with you. Since I've ridden this bike 1,000 miles in the last couple of months, I'm just telling you things I've learned along the way, and that's one of the most recent things I've noticed, is that taillight. I haven't figured out a perfect solution. Honestly though, I really like the way this bike looks. It grew on me at first. I was kind of like, I didn't know what to make of it. It's kind of big and clunky. If you haven't seen one of these bikes in person, they are really big bikes. It's grown on me. I like the way this looks, and I like the way it looks better without the rack on there. If you watch any of my videos, you kind of know how I ride. I don't baby these bikes at all, that's for sure. And one thing I did notice is I slightly bent the rear wheel, and it's probably from ramming into a curb. As of right now, I can't find where it's at, so it's not that bad. I did bend the frame, and that's 100% on me. That's not Wired's problem. These cruiser bikes are not designed to be jumped, and that's because, you know, there's only this one bar for the main support of the bike. Typical, the Freedom model and most other bikes, they have a second bar here. It gives you substantially more strength. So the frame is bent a little bit right there. The paint is chipped because I hammered it in a little bit. Still structurally sound, but yeah, don't buy this bike if you want to be jumping over things. It's really just not designed for it. Last thing I want to mention is I'm not a big fan of these brakes. Yes, I know everyone, these Tektro hydraulic brakes come on like every single bike. The thing is, yes, they work, they're fine. They're not offering you any extra stopping power, that's for sure. They're fine. I've had no issues with them at all. Well, I take that back. When I first got the bike, the rear brake pad squealed, but I think it was because the brake pad was contaminated. But yes, these brake pads work fine, but they don't offer you any extra stopping ability. If you know, for a bike that does 40 miles an hour, it'd be nice if they offered you a better brake option. I've seen some other e-bike channels, they're putting 200 millimeter rotors on. I don't think that's going to really help very much with the stopping power. It might help with the cooling power. But yeah, I think it'd be nice if they had brakes with a little more grab to them. And unfortunately, since these are an e-bike, there's a sensor on these as well. So you can't just buy aftermarket brakes because they won't have the sensor. So there you guys have it. There's my 1,000 mile update on Bruiser here. I'm going to be honest with you. Part of the reasoning for me picking the Cruiser in the first place was when I ordered this bike, there was a delay on the Freedom and I was impatient, so I picked up the Cruiser. That being said, I have no regrets buying it. I've had a ton of fun with this bike. I'm not one of those e-bike channels where I get a bike and I ride it for 1 or 2 days and then give you a expedited review. I've extensively ridden this bike. As a matter of fact, I really doubt there's many people that have ridden their bikes as much as me in the last few months. 1,000 miles since September 1st, that's quite a bit of riding. So yeah, guys, this is a really good bike. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's exceeded all my expectations. I've only ridden my Turbo Levo 1 time since I purchased this bike, so if that tells you something. I'm not saying this is a better bike, but honestly, I think this bike is more practical for most use case scenarios. This is the first time I've commuted on a bike since I was in junior high, so that tells you something. Yeah, this is a really good bike, guys. So if you are interested in buying a Wired bike, feel free to use one of my affiliate links in the description of this video. That's at no extra cost to you, and it does help support the channel. But guys, that being said, I take it all back, guys. Don't buy a Wired bike. Another thing I'd like to point out is the kickstand on this bike doesn't seem to be quite long enough, so the bike likes to lean over a little more than it should. I do now own a Wired Freedom. As of right this second, I haven't ridden it yet, so you will see it on the channel coming up soon. And honestly, no, I would not have bought the Freedom if I didn't run this channel. So that being said, start a YouTube channel and then you can justify buying things for yourself and then saying it's for the channel. It's an investment. Thanks for watching the video. I have 850 subscribers now, which is absolutely crazy, which is like, I'm pretty much a celebrity at this point, right? I'm gonna have some videos on the Freedom coming up soon. But anyways, guys, that's enough rambling for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.